All right, welcome everyone to another new week of the CFO Swinger Watch. If you guys don't know what this video is about, this is a very quick technical analysis video on all the new names we'll be watching for this week. Okay, so let's take a look at the overall markets. We'll start off with SPY, SPY. Now, SPY for the last week and a half or so has been trading in a very nice and tight range. And as it was trading in a nice range for the last week and a half, we've been forming a very nice bullish flag, right? So if you guys don't see it, here is the flagpole, and then here we have the flag, right? We have our descending level of resistance and descending level of support. So with this bull flag, we need to be watching out for the rest of this new week, a potential breakout of this flag. Now, if we do not break this flag to the upside, if you don't have a nice upside movement, there's a good chance that we can completely move back down, negate this bull flag, and come back down to the point where we initially broke out and bounce back above to reverse to the upside when we had this huge downtrend since the beginning of this year. So all we need to do is hold this daily 21 SMA and this daily 200 SMA, right? So if you guys don't know where my SMAs are, the 21 is my light blue line right here, and then the 200 is the yellow line right here. Now, of course, you guys can possibly see that there's a potential for the 21 to cross above and cross across and go across this 200 SMA, which will be a very bullish signal. And for the fact that the 50 SMA is trailing very close behind the 21 SMA as well, could provide us with a good opportunity for a potential cross of the 50 above the 200 which will give us a nice golden cross, right? And a golden cross is usually a very bullish indicator for the long term. Okay, now obviously, if you look at the 2-hour time frame, right, we've been going in a downtrend, right? If you go in the lower time frames, it looks like we're just now completely reversing to the downside. However, as you guys saw on the daily time frame, it's just a simple consolidation, right? The price is just trading in a nice tight range between the flag resistance and support. So do not get spooked just by looking at the intraday time frames and thinking that, oh my goodness, this run up here is going to be completely erased, and all the gains that we made for the last month or so is going to be gone because of the fact that we are already pulling back. Now, of course, that's not the case here, right? So on the 2-hour time frame, right, we're getting tighter and tighter and tighter while we're seeing lower volume as well when we first started this pullback, right? So obviously we weren't able to hold that 456.50-ish level where we saw that previous double top, right? And so that's fine. That's completely fine, except the one difference that you guys can completely see here on the chart here is that on this double top chart formation, you see that after the second top here was made, we had the immediate big pullback, right? But in this case here, when we rejected off of 456 two times, right? We broke below 456 and then we rejected off of it. Okay, so we weren't able to hold 456 two times as well. However, on the second attempt here, right, we actually were trying to come back above 456.50. All right, now the main difference is that instead of pulling back quickly like we saw here, we're now seeing an actual consolidation and seeing a range starting to form on intraday timeframes, right? So on Friday, we saw 450 being used as level, right? And 450 was a nice level of resistance. So if we're able to break above 450 this week again to the upside, there's a better chance that we can break out of this bull flag that we've been making so far. And that possible entry for a breakout could be around 452.50, where the price could converge at this descending level of resistance somewhere around here. All right. But that would also mean that the 50 SMA on the 2-hour time frame will be acting as a huge level of resistance, as we can already see in the previous price action here. So once we're able to break above the descending level of resistance and the 2-hour 50 SMA, we should be able to see a nice big breakout out of this bullish flag. Okay, so next one is QQQ. So the tech sector, I'm kind of 50-50 on this one. The overall tech market has been very bearish, right? Because obviously, right, we talked about this before, where the interest rates are going to be stunting the growth of big growth tech companies, right? So if you guys forgot the correlation between that, between interest rates and growth companies, make sure you guys go back to the previous newsletters. I talked about it multiple times and even last year. So make sure you guys refresh your memories on that. Now, with QQQ, it's already acting a lot weaker to SPY, which is not surprising because we've been seeing that for the last couple of months and even last year. And once we're able to see more strength in QQQ, QQQ tends to have a lot more strength compared to SPY, right? So it's a complete opposite. So with QQQ here, I'm seeing a nice intraday time frame falling wedge here. Okay, so obviously the price has fallen a lot more compared to SPY. However, I am also seeing a nice bullish chart pattern here. So we kind of got a contradictory signal here on QQQ, because first off, on the 2-hour time frame, we're right at a very, very good support, which is the 200 SMA on the 2-hour time frame, right? And for the fact that we have a nice cross of the 50 above the 200. Okay. The only problem is that the momentum is to the downside. I cannot deny that, because of the fact that the price is sitting underneath and rejecting off of the 10 SMA and then the 21 SMA here, right? So my 10 is my red and then the 21 is my light blue, right? So we need to be able to see a hold of this 2-hour 200 SMA in order for the price to have at the very least, a chance to break above this 351.50 resistance. Okay, so this 351.50 level was used as a previous area of support, but because of the fact that we've broken below and closed below it, it's now going to be used as a level of resistance. So if we're able to stay above and hold this 200 SMA and bounce off of it, and if we do bounce above it with good volume, there's a good chance that we can break above 351.50 and head back towards the next huge level of resistance, well, intraday level of resistance, of around 356.50. Okay, so we need to see a lot of good buying coming in into the whole tech sector overall. Okay, so let's take a look at our first name here, AMH, American Homes for Rent. Right, so American Homes for Rent looks incredible, right? So the whole real estate sector has been doing well, and so this individual name has been acting very, very well in accordance with the whole real estate sector, VNQ, right? We went over that ETF, right? The Vanguard ETF for real estate. So if you guys take a look at VNQ and AMH at the same time here, you guys can see that there is a similar consolidation that we've been seeing for the last 2 weeks. All right. So AMH here, first off, on the weekly time frame, very, very nice, big bullish flag forming. Okay. And on top of that, we have another complementary chart pattern within this weekly bullish flag. And you guys can see here, very noticeable, we have a nice double bottom or a W chart pattern forming, right? So with this left bottom and the right bottom here, right, we have a nice descending level of resistance from the bigger macro bullish flag. So with both complementary signals here, right, we have this double bottom and a bullish flag on the weekly time frame. There's a good chance the price can continue to the upside and break above this descending level of resistance, which should coincide with this 41 horizontal resistance price level. All right, so if you go back to the daily time frame, On Friday, we attempted to break above it, above 41, right? As this was the converging point between the descending level resistance and this horizontal 41 resistance price level. So for this week, continue to watch out for this 41 price level, because if you break above it, there's a good chance that all the SMAs here that have coiled together, the 10, right, 21, and 50, will be able to cross above the 200 and stay above the 200, right? So obviously the 10 has crossed above the 200, but we will never know what can happen this week, as we can reject off of the 41, which could create the 10 SMA to start slowly coming back down and rounding off at the top and start curling downward. All right. So continue to watch out for this name, as it is a nice real estate name that continues to move to the upside. The second one is BLL, right? Ball Corporation. So as you guys already know, this name was in the previous week's newsletter, and it did really, really well to the downside, right? As we rejected off of that 90 to 89.50-ish price level. So now, as we came down, all right, we are now sitting right on top of this huge weekly, okay, ascending support trend line. Now, for the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and etc., so multiple times here, right? When we came back down to retest this ascending support, we bounced on top of it, right? But do you see how on the weekly time frame, each weekly candlestick here, right, it's been getting tighter and tighter and tighter. Do you see how we've been really coming back down to this ascending support trend line multiple times, very, very, very quickly as well, right? Back to back sometimes. Okay. So this could mean that sellers here are a lot stronger than the buyers, because sellers are not able to keep the price near this descending level of resistance that we've been seeing on the weekly time frame. So with that in mind, right? With that in mind, we have a contradictory signal again, right? So this contradicting signal here is that we have a falling wedge, a very micro falling wedge on top of this macro ascending support trend line. Okay, so if you're able to hold this ascending support trend line, okay, there's a good chance that we bounce above it and break out of this micro falling wedge. Okay, so sure, there's a lot of sellers, but we have this contradicting micro bullish falling wedge. So continue to watch out for this name, because if we have a nice big break, the price of this name can either be very, very cheap in the next few weeks, or very, very expensive in the next few weeks. All right. And this name tends to move a lot once it starts a new trend, especially during a reversal. Okay, so the last name here for the official picks for this week is GFS. So I know you guys already know what this name is, because I've been posting all about it in the Discord last week. So GFS, first of all, very, very nice IPO base here, right? Because IPOs tend to be very, very volatile. However, this one has already formed a nice base as the price continues to basically act exactly like SPY, as it trades in a nice price range, right? So, you know, the price really didn't go anywhere since the IPO days, right? It's right back towards the 50s. And if you go back to the daily time frame, we're also seeing a similar ascending support trend line like we saw on BLL, and on the daily time frame here, we're also seeing a nice falling wedge. Okay, so if we're able to break above 56.20-ish here, okay, there's a good chance that we can break back towards the 60 price level, which is our next big level of resistance that we need to break out of. And also, if we do reach that $60 price level, we will also be coinciding with the daily 50 SMA, which is my dark blue line here, right? So right now, the dark blue line or the 50 SMA is still kind of curling upwards, right? But that's only because it's trying to catch up with the 10 SMA or vice versa, where the 10 SMA is now trying to catch up to the price and to the 50 SMA here, right? Because the price has been spiraling downwards. Now, we have a huge support here around 52.80 to around 53. I expect the price to come back down here this week and then bounce and have a potential opportunity to break out of this descending wedge or falling wedge. But if we do not hold the 52.80 to 53 support level, there's a good chance that the price can come back and retest, and maybe it wants to retest this ascending support trend line. But if it does, there's a better chance and probability here that the price will bounce at this ascending support trend line, since that will be its third time, right? Since we had the first time here and the second time here. Okay, so the third time will give us a actual look of whether or not the price will want to bounce and reverse higher back towards the all-time high price that it made in the near 70s and 80s. Okay, or it's going to break this ascending support trend line because, well, it is the third touch, right? And we have the three touch golden rule, where if a price decides to touch a specific level, whether it be a support or resistance, it will break that level, right? So have your alert set for all of these three main equity picks for this week. All right, so let's take a look at our crypto pick for this week. Bitcoin. Yep, so we're right back to the actual cryptocurrency, right? The actual coin that made the cryptocurrency markets very, very popular with the overall world. So Bitcoin here, all right, it's sitting right on top of the 50 SMA as I'm recording this video, right? So you guys already know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a hold of the 50 SMA and a nice bounce and break back towards 44,000 flat. And if we're able to hold above 44,000, we can come back to 45,500. And that is our huge level of resistance that we've been unable to hold multiple times here. Sure, we had a nice euphoric run here above 45,000 as the overall stock market was also starting to run as well. But once we start to pull back, we did not hold 45,500 really well because, well, we broke it, right? So as simple as that, if we're able to come back above 45,500 here, we can see a nice possible consolidation right underneath it, okay? And then a potential move higher back towards 50,000, all right? So, you know, the overall markets here, even in the crypto markets, we've been seeing a lot of bearish chart patterns, double tops, triple tops, you know, head and shoulders patterns. And, you know, most of the times we are also seeing the price retesting the daily 50 SMA, or it's already broken the daily 50 SMA and rejecting the daily 50 SMA and using it as a level of resistance, right? So there has been a huge overlay of bearish indicators throughout the market since the last 2 weeks, but I do have hope for this week for a nice bounce, even in the crypto markets as well. Okay, so if Bitcoin decides to bounce up, there's a good chance the other major top cryptocurrencies are able to bounce up as well and potentially have a nice reversal, making this low that we've been making so far a higher low compared to the lows that we made a month back. Okay, so that is it for this week. Right, make sure you guys take a look at the technical setups as well, and set up your alerts for any names that you want to trade in those technical setups lists. And make sure you guys are always managing your risks properly. Okay, and if you guys are not using good risk to reward ratios, okay, make sure you guys reanalyze how you're trading, right, and how much you're risking in each individual trade that you're wanting to execute. Okay, have a good luck this new trading week, and I'll see you guys back in the CFO Discord. Have a great rest of your night or morning.